Starlings swarming through the sky can be an eerie sight, but wouldn't generally make you fear for your life. But if you were to see this sight on a cold, frosty night, you might not be looking at birds at all, but something very sinister indeed. For on such nights, and especially on Halloween, the Sluagh was said to be abroad, and if they caught you out alone, there was no telling what might happen to you. These are the swarming spirits of the Unforgiven Dead, and they might just be Halloween's darkest horror. But why were they so feared? And could they still haunt us today? Hi everybody, and welcome back to Beasts of the Old World, a channel all about ancient folklore and mythical creatures from across the globe. I'm Nick, and today we're looking at the Sluagh, or the host of the dead, and asking who they are, what makes them so scary, and what they could tell us about our world in the modern day. Please like the video if you like it, and drop a comment to give it a boost, even if it's just an emoji to represent the topic. It really helps the channel to grow and reach the right people. And with that said, let's get into it. The term Sluagh comes from an ancient Irish word meaning host, army, or crowd. Indeed, to this day, they're often called the host of the dead. They were once feared across Ireland and Scotland as a nightmarish swarm of dislodged and unforgiven souls, forced to drift restlessly across the world, revisiting the places of their transgressions, and to wage endless, futile battles in the sky. Catherine Briggs calls them the most formidable of the Highland fairy people, and Alexander Carmichael tells us in Carmina Gadelica that no soul of them is without the clouds of the earth, dimming the brightness of the works of God, nor can any win heaven till satisfaction is made for the sins of earth. The Sluagh was said to fly in vast flocks across the night sky. From a distance they might appear like dark birds, wheeling against the dusk, but to those who saw them up close, they were a swirling storm of winged shadows, whirling out of the west in the mouth of night. A swarm of the damned. If you were caught out alone, then any number of terrible fates might befall you. In some stories, they brought poisonous and corrosive winds that would burn your skin or cause boils to appear. They hurled venomous darts at animals, killing cats and dogs, as well as sheep and cattle, for sport. Further still, there are stories that they could take possession of people too, commanding men to carry out evil deeds on their behalf. They commanded men to them, and men obeyed, having no alternative. It was these men of earth who slew and maimed at the bidding of their spirit masters, who in return ill-treated them in a most pitiless manner. After all, the Sluagh were familiar with evil deeds. As the host of the Unforgiven Dead, they were thought to have committed great evils in their own lives, and when alone were said to often return to the scenes of their earthly sins. In this form, you might not even know they were there, for they would shelter themselves behind little russet docken stems and little yellow ragwort stalks. When the host gathered in force, they often fought battles in the air above the world of men. One account from Barra recalled that their crimson blood may be seen staining rocks and stones. To the people of the Hebrides, these strange red lichens on the stone were reminders of the ghostly slaughter in the skies above. But above all, the host were feared as soul-snatchers. It was said that they would swoop in through the western windows of a house where someone lay dying, and would seize the soul before it could find its way to heaven. Because of this, western-facing doors and windows were often locked and barred in a house where someone lay on their deathbed, to prevent the host from stealing in on a gust of air and snatching the soul into their evil flock. But they didn't only steal souls. They could whisk you away too, swooping out of the air and plucking you off the very ground. On the Hebridean Isle of Benbecula, people told how the Sluagh carried humans far away through the night sky, only to return them exhausted and prostrate. One tale tells of a princess carried through the air across seas and continents until eventually she was laid down, broken and near death, with her last words describing the agonies that she'd endured in the grasp of the host. Not all were returned alive. In 1911, Walter Evans Wentz published a story of a young boy who'd been taken by the Sluagh. The next morning, the boy's lifeless body was found at the back of a house. In other tales, men were stolen away, forced to fight alongside the Sluagh in their midnight battles, and then cast out of the air when their strength failed. Even if you were lucky enough to escape all of this, to look upon the Sluagh was to see not only death, but damnation too. They were a glimpse of an afterlife without peace or redemption. They were the shadowy army of the unforgiven, endlessly searching for more souls to swell their number, forever searching for the peace and the rest that they will never find. On clear, frosty nights, and on thin days like that of All Hallows Eve, their passing might be heard above, the beating of countless wings sweeping across the dark. And when that happened, you just had to hope that it wasn't your doors that rattled at midnight, and that the host would pass over you unnoticed. For the communities who told these tales, the Sluagh were souls that were locked out of heaven, erased from memory. They embodied a fate that nobody wanted. To die without atoning for your sins or without forgiveness was to be condemned to drift across the world forever, restless, rudderless, incurably angry and violent for all eternity. To become part of the Sluagh meant that you were just one of a vast, swarming, faceless host. Accounts describe them as moving in great clouds up and down the face of the world like starlings. They were an unstoppable, swarming mass with no mercy and no individuality. This, of course, sounds familiar. It's the same horror that drives our modern zombie myths. Just as with the zombie horde, to glimpse the Sluagh was to see the terror of the mob, an overwhelming force without accountability, capable of cruelty without conscience. They show us the struggle of the individual against the collective, and the danger of being swept up by the crowd. It's hard not to see in this image a reflection of our own world today. The Sluagh's battles took place high in the sky, far above the ground where ordinary people were trying to go about their days. Occasionally, those people would be swept up in the melee, compelled to do things they wouldn't ordinarily do in their right minds, or would be targeted by the host, badly injured, or worse. At the least, those ordinary people would often find the blood of the Sluagh staining the stones on the ground. All this clearly echoes the constant, intangible conflicts that surround us today. In the digital ether, battles of ideology and identity are fought endlessly, often stoked by swarms of bots to spark outrage or spread propaganda, starting vicious arguments that leave nothing resolved and stain everything they touch. Like the host, these digital hordes circle endlessly in the dark and, increasingly, affect those on the ground, most of whom want nothing to do with any of it, only wanting instead to get on with their lives in peace. The modern world has a fascinating capacity for turning people against one another. Today, politics uses its rhetoric to reduce complex problems into simple, binary slogans. Us and them, friend and enemy. Social media only sharpens this divide, creating environments where outrage is rewarded, cruelty spreads unchecked, and no one takes responsibility for the harm that follows. Each voice becomes just another cry in the swarm, all full of anger, entirely stripped of nuance, lashing out at imagined foes, and never finding relief. In this respect, we can clearly see the shadow of the Sluagh. They are far more than Halloween's half-forgotten phantoms. They're a mirror of what we become when our humanity and our individual accountability gets lost in the tumult of the crowd. Perhaps this is why the Sluagh are the truest horror of Halloween. The festival began as a night to remember the dead, to honour ancestors and keep their memory alive, but a soul consumed by the host is never remembered. It's denied legacy, cut off from family, community, and salvation. In joining the Sluagh, the dead cease to be individuals. They become only a furious, credulous, unthinking mob, trapped in endless battles, never finding peace or the time to reflect. They will never find rest or respite. From afar, they may look harmless, like starlings in the darkling sky. But draw a little closer, and you see them for what they really are: a spiralling, winged mass of the cursed and the damned. By then, of course, it may already be too late for you. Whatever their intentions, whatever justifications they cling to, the host are capable only of harm. Some say they're merely a symbol of our fear of being erased, of being lost in the faceless crowd, a shadow in a dark cloud of many. But their lesson is more acute than that, for they remind us that when we join together, we do indeed become powerful. But if we surrender our conscience to the crowd, then just like the Sluagh, we too will be forever damned and eternally bound to bring only harm and ruin. Speaking of joining together and becoming immensely powerful, if you'd like to join my supporters on Patreon, then click the link in the description or the golden dragon button on screen now. Patrons get monthly exclusives and ad-free episodes, and even free members get access to our brand new Discord server. Hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, thanks for watching. I hope you all have a wonderfully spooky Halloween, and I'll catch you in the next one.